Hey everyone, this is Meyer, and in this video what I want to do is show you how to make a saw pluck for uplifting trance. This is what the sound sounds like. And in context of the mix. Like so. Alright, so to go ahead and get started, what I want to do is actually double the length of this drop to add this pluck in. So the first thing we actually need to do is sort of chop down these sections. So I'm just using the sort of knife tool to cut these into. Basically what I want to do is like insert this space and duplicate it, but the way I need to do this is so these it doesn't get confused with this automation. I need to cut it on both sides. Then what I'm going to do is select this, and then I'm going to go Tools, or Edit, I think, and then Insert Space. Oh, there's also Slice and Insert Space. That's a new one. Was not aware of that, which is pretty nice. So we can just go ahead and copy this in like so. So what you see here are the actual copied versions of these. Some of these you can see it goes over twice, which the difficulty of doing it this way is your automation gets moved over, so you have to hit, if you hold down the slide button, you can actually move and it'll just kind of move all the points after. Unfortunately, this is kind of what you have to do in order to have the piece, you know, have it all moved over the way you would like it to. So that is what you can do. So you can copy over the automation if you don't plan on changing it at all once you've sliced it. But if you want to do anything different, like I may want to do with the leads, then you have to kind of copy it over manually like so. So same thing with the percussion. I could just do it this way, or I may want to do something a little bit interesting. So if I have the slide on, I can filter it out and filter it back in as needed. So now we have twice as much space. Let's go ahead and create that pluck. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this init patch. And what I'm going to do is call this one, we're just going to call this pluck, and give it a nice color and an icon that looks plucky. And then what we need to do is come up with our MIDI. So I'm going to actually use the lead as inspiration. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this kind of rhythm and use the plucks to kind of layer on top of the lead. But they're not going to be doing this pattern. So instead, they'd be doing something like that. And we duplicate this and kind of move this around as needed. And because we're kind of duplicating that D, we could also do something like this, like duplicate it down. But I'm not decided on how I want to do this. So let's get this sounding right first. So first we need to do is select a filter, and we're going to just use this basic init patch. I may use this this ladder. And what matters here is the filter envelope. So I'm going to use the filter envelope and bring the decay down. And let's bring this up an octave. So far sounding good. Going to turn the dynamic bass off. Bring a little bit of high shelf on here, and let's move to the effects. It really helps us with some effects. So I'm going to move the delay to ping pong, and I like using 3/4 for this. And the reverb, we'll just use a plate reverb. And in this case, I may actually duck effects 3. It's about getting that right shape. Another thing that can help is using an auxiliary envelope to really accentuate that attack. So what we're going to do is pull the decay way down and then just simply map this to the cutoff. Which can really help it cut through. Lastly, under the setup, there are a few options. You have this transient boost, which kind of adds a little high shelf, kind of like what we're doing here. Sometimes if you turn this off, you can use this punch. Same thing with the pop. I like this because this is very similar to what you would see on the Virus, where you get this punch. Most synthesizers don't have anything like this. Really can help it cut through. But you don't want to have it too much. Well, maybe you do. That can help it trigger that compressor ahead of time if you're using a compressor on it. I like doing something like this. And the other thing that can help is some sort of pitch modulation as well. So for instance, if I was to take auxiliary envelope 1, and it may be, 1 may not be the right one, but let's try doing it. We may want to, actually, let's just use auxiliary envelope 2 because we're not using it for anything, and we won't use it for anything. So we're going to take auxiliary envelope 2 here in the mod matrix. So the source is going to be auxiliary envelope 2, and we're going to map this to 1 through 3 pitch XL. Semitone will jump to the nearest tone and octave will jump to the nearest octave, whereas this will actually do something like this. So if we shut this down really low, really gives it some extra click. I may add some ducking on that delay to really yeah, that's honestly sounding really, really good to me, the way this is kind of set up now. You can also adjust the volume envelope. It's really going to cut through. The last thing is I may add in oscillator 2. I'm going to set this to stereo. And we're just going to bring it in just to kind of add a little bit of width to the sound. This is an octave higher. There are a lot of ways you can add punch to a pluck like this to help it cut through. One is to add noise with just a really short decay. The other is to use the pitch envelope. The other is to use something like these punch modes. There's a lot of ways to do it, or an auxiliary envelope on the cutoff, really to help it cut through. But you don't want to do it too much because it's very easy to overload your limiter when you have these really attacky kind of sounds. So this is what we're going to do. I'm just going to try to create a melody. So this. Maybe come down. And then this actually goes up at the end to the D. And what I like doing with the mod wheel on this is using another filter to kind of do this cutoff thing. So what we can do, oopsie daisy, is just bring the cutoff all the way down, map the mod wheel to here by clicking and dragging. So we'll set the minimum position. Sometimes it can help to add some saturation. And honestly, that sounds pretty good. So we'll just take this pluck and I'm going to put it on its new channel called Pluck. Give it the color that we want. Oh, that's red. That's not the right color, but that's okay. Not all that important. And we'll just go ahead and insert a track right here. So then we would bring in the pluck here. And let's go ahead and map this to the mixer. I'm going to hit Command L on Mac, Control L on Windows. And what helps, of course, is having some sidechain compression as well. One of the ways we can do this is actually with the multi-segment envelope generator here on the volume. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to set this to be MSEG1. I actually want this to be I could do this in the positive direction. And we just need this to continue going like this. We don't want it to re-trigger, so we're going to go to Setup, not hard trigger, we're going to do free. And now we need to just set the right speed. I think it's 1/2. It's here. We have MSEG1. So the ARP and the LFO at this point. And then when we reach the outro here, and probably need to make this even faster. And I think that's sounding pretty good. I like the way this sounds. The last thing I'm going to do, of course, is just go ahead and take this Tools, Last Tweak, create an automation clip, and then simply just bring this down like so. Sounding good.